What is up, Scrub Fam? I am here with a Set 5 deck profile for you guys here today. Before I get started in this video, let me give a shout out to my team, Shenron's Lair. Yep, my team, Shenron's Lair. I was getting used to that. But in general, yeah, so give a shout out to those guys. We've been doing a lot of testing lately. I've been playing a lot of games, and this is one of the decks I've been enjoying a lot in testing, just because I've been exploring the interactions that kind of Shenron and the Wish decks have to offer. And this is one of the things that we were messing around with A Child's Wish, and myself and Richard Zapp, we were talking. We were like, what's a 2-drop that we can, focus a deck around? And then I was just like, Brienne de Chateau? And then a list started from there, and then we collabed, and then now we've arrived at this beautiful masterpiece, especially with the lessons that we've kind of learned from the format so far. And so we decided to go ahead and showcase this for you guys. So I'll be going over Shenron's Power of Love. So here is the deck itself. So the deck uses Shenron Leader, so basically the Dragon Ball. And main reason why is because the leader has the ability to search out 2 Dragon Balls off the break. So you can check your life and check your deck at the same time. You can find up to 2 Dragon Balls, place them in your hand. So the reason why this is so good, and the reason why these decks are so good and so powerful, and people are kind of saying that these are going to be immediately the best thing out there, is because of how quickly these cards can get through their deck, and then how small the decks actually end up being. So you have a concentrated amount of cards all in one single spot, and that leads to you just having a really consistent deck, almost like similar to the way, I don't know if you guys have ever played Pokemon competitively or played like the really high competitive level decks, but the decks really just focus on getting through them and setting up a game plan and a game state, and then you kind of execute that for the rest of the game. And so this deck is actually a prime example of this. You're actually just trying to get to a certain spot in the game where you're playing your key spells and then just end up closing the game out within a couple turns. So that's what this deck tries to do. So the base of the deck is we are using Brienne de Chateau, and we have Maiden Squadron Leader Rebrienne, and then Rebrienne Transformation Complete. We're not playing any other Maidens. We're just playing the Rebrienne Train as almost like the finisher of the deck itself. And then we have 3 Spirited Surge Trunks. Spirited Surge Trunks in testing is probably one of the best cards in the set. It allows you to do some of the most busted things multiple times throughout the course of a game, because you can basically play a Wish, summon it back with Spirit Search Trunks, and then play the Wish again, and then that way you can go ahead and just use multiple activations and get multiple threats out on the board. And so that's why Spirit Search Trunks is so good. And then he's also good because if you ever have to actually just play him, the ability to actually search your deck and put 2 Dragon Balls in the drop is very, very relevant, especially when it comes to flipping fast. It's actually one of your best ways to kind of get where you need to be in the aggro mirror, so it guarantees your flip on the second turn. Whereas, a lot of spots you're not going to be able to do that, and so Trunks kind of helps that for you. And because once you're at that point where you're at 15k, they're having to combo 1 to 2 cards, to kind of get themselves up to that 15-20k threshold that you can easily match. So Spirit Search Trunks is incredibly important. We play 3 Super and 17, the Infernal Machine. This is also part of our finishing package, because ideally the way we want the turn to end up is we want to go ahead and play Rebrienne the 7-drop. We want to then activate Shenron's ultimate. We then want to play a Super 17 by hard casting a World Peace, and then we want to close out the game from there, because then you're basically stripping 2, 4, 6, 8 cards from your opponent's hand all in that turn, and you're able to swing for game with a giant Transformation Complete Rebrienne. And so that is kind of the finishing part of the deck. So if you look in the middle, you can kind of see all the core pieces and what we're looking to do and how the deck's going to revolve around those cards. There's a thing that you have to do with these Wish decks. You have to pick a couple of things, right? If you choose to play multiple colors, you really can't dive into the tech cards as much, because you need to be able to, you can't use as much space. So if you decide to be a more monocolor deck, you can dive into the tech cards a lot more, but if you're 2 colors, you kind of have to, trim on the amount that you use. So in our deck, we're playing the 7 Dragon Balls, which we have to play. In testing so far, playing the 1 or the 2-star balls, as good as they can be, like they have potential to be really, really good, but the problem is you can't afford to tap energy in the early turns against a lot of the aggressive strategies, and having to wait to tap an energy to play a Dragon Ball so you can flip is probably the worst feeling in the world. So we play 7 just standard Dragon Balls straight up. Our desire package is 3 Child's Wish, 2 World Peace. Main reason why we're not playing 4 copies of either, and we're only playing 3 Child's Wish, 2 World Peace, is because we're going to rely on the 1 copy of Dragon Radar to act as an additional copy of each, as well as Spirited Search Trunks to be able to buy them back. And plus, you only really need to activate World Peace once per game. That's when you're going to be getting your Super 17 out of the drop area. And then a Child's Wish you just want to see a little bit more often, so you can go ahead and get your Brienne de Chateau out of the drop, or your Spirited Search Trunks, so on and so forth. The 4 Temporal Rescue Trunks, the super combo, 2 Crisis Crusher Son Goku. Major reason why is that there's a lot of impactful one drops this format, a lot of tech cards this format that you're going to see coming out there, like the Dark Powered Mass Saiyan. You want a way to be able to interact with them. Also, Crisis Crusher is great against Hercule. It allows you to basically take away their power of being able to play stuff like Ever Curious and combo with it for free, or play stuff like Play by Play Pro with 2 other one drops in the battlefield, because you just keep killing the one drops perpetually every single turn. This also takes away their Awakening condition, which is usually Awakening Talent Pan, and this also is great in the Wish Leader mirrors, where they're playing a Wish Leader that relies on one drops to attack, something like Frieza or Trunks, not Trunks, so Frieza or Pilaf, or the other Pilaf that's red or green, etc. And then of course 2 world pieces, I stated before. So the card that I wanted to choose is to be the supplemental color. So the main color I have here is green, as you can see. Like, our base is green. That's kind of the engine of the deck is green. But you need to have a supplemental color, and yellow is the color that I chose. The main reason why is because in this format, you still have to be aware of the aggressive decks. And in general, if Shenron's going to be a really popular leader, Flying Nimbus just gets that much better, because since the leader can't attack, you're taking away additional card advantage from the opponent, or additional advantage from the opponent that they'd pick up from attacking with their leader. So 4 Flying Nimbus. So that's why we're playing yellow as a support color. 3 Dragon Ball Seeker Sorbet. This is just icing on the cake. It just helps us get to our Dragon Balls a little bit faster. It's just a one-drop, good, searches for a Dragon Ball, puts it in your hand. 3 Personal Ambition. This card has been insane in testing. It was 4, but I really found myself wanting to have an extra way to get the Desire cards back, so I'm playing the 1x Dragon Radar in place of the Personal Ambitions. But Personal Ambition is just so powerful. Just, 1 yellow, draw a card, untap an energy. And it's so good because you can do this, like, early game with no problem, and then when you flip, you can get one back. And what's cool is you can actually spend your turn tapping out, and then you can Personal Ambition, then untap like your yellow energy to put up your Nimbus for your opponent's turn, and then you haven't really lost anything. So Personal Ambition is a great card. 2 Battering Laser. This is because the out to your opponent having, they can either play Time Magic or they can play Mafuba against your Shenron ultimate, so you really need a Battering Laser to make sure that doesn't happen, because if you can do that and you have your Rebrand stick, you're going to be able to dismantle their hand and just absolutely devastate them, and just win the game off the back of a Rebrand plus a Super 17, the Infernal Machine. And then 2 Explosive Spirits on Goku. So this is kind of our tech removal that also has some functionality, basically because it can kill something that's anything in rest mode, and is a barrier blocker, so it's really hard for the opponent to deal with once it's on the board. I've hard cast this in games a few times now. It never feels bad. Explosive Spirit is just a great card. You have the ability to Child's Wish it back, which is awesome. And so this card in general just provides a little bit of just what the deck needs, in the spots where the games are really tight. But overall, the deck itself functions really, really well. It tests great against stuff like Janemba. I know you guys are thinking, well, Shenron has a rough Janemba matchup. Well, when Janemba doesn't have a hand, Janemba loses the game very quickly, and this deck kind of guarantees that it won't have a hand because of the way it goes off. So, you can do turn 2 Girl Warrior, turn 3 Maiden Squadron, turn 4 Rebrand Transformation Complete, and then you can just climb the ladder from there and just kind of to completely take away their momentum. And then of course you can then close it out with Super 17, the Infernal Machine. This deck also tests really well against hand destruction mirrors, so stuff like Cell Chain this deck can do really well against, and this deck can actually do pretty well against Hercule, because you're not really attacking Hercule in the early turns at all with your leader, so they're kind of forced to awaken themselves. So if you get that early Crisis Crusher down, they can't attack with their pan. You kind of just get to dictate their hand size throughout the course of the game, and that really pressures them. And then basically all you have to do is, of course, do the Rebrand 7, swing 3 times, and then of course have your Super 17, the Infernal Machine, to also strip 2 additional cards. So in general, the deck runs really, really well. I'm going to continue innovating, tweaking this list a bit. But there's a lot of Shenron decks coming down the pipeline. I know you guys are probably, chomping at the bit for more of these deck lists out here, and I wanted to go ahead and get a deck profile out because I haven't done one in a while, and I want to just kind of do something a little bit spicy, a little bit something more fun. But at the same time, this deck in general is very powerful because of the interactions at the top end. So make sure you test against the matchups that you expect, which, honestly, you're going to see a lot of aggro. You're going to see a lot of Janemba, you're going to see a lot of Cell Chain, you're going to see a lot of Shenron mirrors, and I think hand destruction has a really good place in this next format. Being able to play such powerful threats that just gain such advantage for you and take away advantage for your opponent is going to be something that is going to be kind of the new currency in a lot of these matchups, and I'm excited to see how far people can push this type of game plan. I had one build of this deck that was playing Endless Evolution, Broly, and Rampaging Horror, but that was like mono green because you need to be mono green to kind of play that deck. and the deck was pretty good, but you just didn't have that stability against aggro decks. So I can't stress enough the importance of playing yellow or blue in your main decks to kind of give you that stability. And so that's why this deck had to dive into yellow, but we're still keeping that core strategy. So again, when you're playing these decks, really try and focus on just getting to your game plan on time, on schedule, creating that winning board state and game state with Rebrand 7 plus Super 17, the Infernal Machine, and then you're going to have a ton of success with this deck, I can guarantee it. But in general, I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile. I know that it's been a while, but I hope you enjoyed Shenron's Power of Love. Happy testing, and I will see you in the next video. Scrub fam is best fam. K. Bye!